Nikki.
And I'm Rachel.
And we are
Stitch
Stitch Sisters.
Welcome to another social distancing video from the Stitch Sisters.
As you can see, we are still in self-isolation. We are obeying the government's laws and we are staying home and staying safe.
So Nikki is literally just over the road over there. I can see her house and where I'm sat in my lounge.
But we wanted to bring you a little bit of chatty video today, and we're trying to think of different things that we can do while being in our own homes but still keeping in touch with you guys.
Now, I've not seen Nikki for a good couple of weeks now. I've seen her in passing, like when I've gone out for a walk, I've walked past her house, she's come to the end of her drive and we've had a chat from literally across the other side of the road. But obviously we miss each other.
So we've come up with a list of 5 questions for each other that we honestly didn't know the answers to.
So I've sent Nikki 5 questions and she sent me 5 questions, and we're gonna read those out now and answer them for you guys.
So here are my questions for Rachel. Question 1, if you won the lottery, what would you spend the money on?
So I've won the lottery, what would I do? I might have to answer this in kind of 2 different worlds, because if I was literally to win the lottery today and we're in the middle of coronavirus, I think my response is a little bit different to what it might be under normal circumstances. So if it was normal circumstances, I've always said the first thing that I would do is book myself on a lovely Caribbean holiday so I could go and sit on a white sandy beach and feel the waves on my feet and just think about what I was going to do from that point onwards. The first thing I'd like to do is obviously make sure that my family and friends are taken care of. Now that depends on how big my win is. If I could pay off people's mortgages, that would be amazing, but if I could just throw them a little gift, something to let them have a nice holiday or just to pay off some debts, then that would be awesome. So obviously I'd want to take care of that first of all. The next thing that I would do is to make sure that normal life continues without any stress. So I'd pay off our mortgage, I'd buy us a little holiday home, probably in Paliakora in Greece, where we like to go on holiday, just somewhere that we can escape. I'd probably also buy us a camper van, one of the modern VW camper vans, so that we could just go on trails and explore different places whenever we felt like it. And then I'd think about our business. So I would invest in a new studio, one that's custom built just for us. I'd buy all new equipment. I would hire people to be able to edit our videos for us and to film it for us, so that we could just concentrate on really great ideas. I wouldn't change a huge amount just because I love my life and I love our job, and I wouldn't want to change it completely. I would just want to take all the stress and the worry out of it and use the money to do that. So Nikki, my first question for you is, if you could only ever sew again, either by hand or on the sewing machine, you could only choose one, what would it be and why?
So whether I stay with hand sewing forever or I choose to do machine sewing forever. And it's like choosing between your children. I have had to think about it, and I think I would probably choose hand sewing, which is very odd because I'd spend a lot of time doing both, but I think in my heart I get more from the repetitive mindfulness of the hand sewing, and then the dressmaking and the machine sewing is more technical, whereas I just see the sort of the relaxation of the hand sewing is something that I really love and I really enjoy. I would rather not choose to have either of them taken from my life, but if I had to choose, I would keep hand sewing and I would ditch the machine. Question 2, which decade would you have liked to have lived through and experienced? And what things in that time do you really wish you had seen or experienced yourself?
So this decades question is quite a tricky one because I love so many decades. I can imagine myself in so many of them, but I don't think I'd go back too far. So I would love to have been a flapper in the 1920s, and the things specifically I would have wanted to do then was to go to prohibition parties. I would be a fallen woman in those times. I'd be a socialite. I would not necessarily be making a good match, because I'd imagine that lots of gentlemen in society would consider me past saving, but I would be having a lot of fun. I just love to be there at the birth of jazz, and to be with my girlfriends, dancing on tables, meeting young gentlemen, and just generally having fun. But I would also love to live in an artist's commune, those bohemian communes that you sometimes see, where they all live together, artists and writers and musicians, and they had their own rules and they lived their own life, and they didn't worry too much about what society thought of them. That really appeals to me. If it wasn't the 20s, then I think it might have to be the 1960s, because just the birth of kind of mod culture, I think it's a really freeing time for lots of people, but for women in particular. Obviously, we were over the wars. I think people were starting to have a little bit of independence. And if you were young in the 60s, there was a freedom that people hadn't experienced up until that point. The first time that people would think about what they might want to be and what they might want to do. I think obviously for women it's always been harder, but there are some really iconic women in every decade that have fought for what they want, and for equality and to have the life that they wanted. And I like to think that I would have been one of those people in one of those decades. Obviously, with all decades, we idolise them completely, and there were struggles and difficult times at any decade, for different members of society. But I don't think it hurts to, especially at the moment when we're all a bit stressed and worried, just to idolise everything and to think about the positive sides and the things that would have been the most fun. So if I really had to choose, I would go with the 20s. Nikki, my next question for you is, imagine you've been invited to an award show. It could be the Oscars, the Grammys, the Baftas, it's your choice. And you've been invited as a +1, somebody famous as guest. Now, describe to me your perfect dress.
So my perfect dress, I've been thinking hard about this one, because it's not something I've really thought about. If I could have one dress. So this is kind of, it's been quite a good thing to think about over the last couple of days. So I think it's going to be something really form-fitting, probably something with boning. So I'm imagining some kind of sweetheart neckline or strapless dress. I think it's sequin, some kind of, I love a little bit of glitter, I love a little bit of sparkle. So it's going to have to be something sequined and with a boned bodice, really form-fitting all the way down, but then with a train at the back. Kind of one of those dresses that as you move, everything moves from head to toe at the same time. Because I think it would accentuate my height, I think it would accentuate my straight up and downness, give me curves that I probably don't have, with a bit of boning and things like that. Colour wise, I don't really know. I'd like something, if I could imagine anything, I'm imagining it in some kind of sort of petrol blue shimmery colour, that goes from blue to silver to purple and just kind of changes. Basically, I want to be a mermaid. That's basically what I've just described, isn't it? I want to be a mermaid, but a mermaid dress with a little chain at the back and really high heels and all the glamour, all the makeup, all the diamonds. And that would just be fabulous. So if you could sort that out for me while you're in isolation, lady, you've got all my measurements, get cracking. Question 3. Is there one place in the world that you have never been that you've always wanted to visit? And if so, why?
God, I don't think I could pick one place in the world. It's so hard because there are so many different places that I haven't yet travelled to. So I look back on my travel history and I always have, not necessarily regrets, but at the time before I had kids, but I also had a good income, I had a good job. So I had disposable income for travel, which I haven't really had since having the children and changing my lifestyle and living a simpler life. And I always opted for kind of luxury holidays. So I'd go and stay in a nice hotel and did lots of city breaks. But I never actually did the proper exploring, kind of traveling, backpacking type thing. And I like the idea of being able to travel when my kids have grown and we have more disposable income again. But they're kind of being a mix of the two. So I don't necessarily want to go and stay in youth hostels, but I'm also not expecting 5-star luxury. And I wouldn't be able to afford it anyway. and I like the idea of maybe exploring more and actually getting out and about in some of the local towns and cities and seeing more outside of exactly what you're supposed to see as a tourist. So I've never been to the Caribbean, I've never been to Russia, I've never been to the Middle East, and there obviously our world is changing all the time, so there are lots of places that may not be as safe to travel in as they may have once been. I've never been to South Africa. There are so many places, but if I had to pick one, and it was kind of a more realistic option, I would love to visit Tokyo. I would love to visit Japan. I just think Japan has this ancient culture, but at the same time is at the forefront of everything modern, and I love those two extremes, and I would love to just go and, you know, experience ancient tea ceremonies, but then also be walking around with, you know, vending machines producing everything that you could possibly imagine, and robots, and, you know, again, I may well be idolizing this experience, but we are in dream world now, so I'm allowed to. So I think, yeah, if I had to pick somewhere now, then I'd say I'd love to go to Tokyo. Would have loved to have gone for the 2020 Olympics, and who knows, now that's been delayed, maybe that's a bit longer to try and figure out how to get there. Right, my next question for you, Nikki. I think this could be harder than it might be for lots of people. You know the game Kiss, Marry, Kill. I want you to play it with the Avengers. Which Avenger are you going to kiss? Which Avenger are you going to marry? And which Avenger are you going to kill?
My favourite subject, superheroes, and we all need superheroes at the moment because they're the only ones that are going to save us. That and our NHS, they're saving us as well. So, who am I going to kiss? Who am I going to marry? And who am I going to kill? So, this is hard. Again, it's like choosing between my children. So, kiss, I am going to kiss Thor. I've got to kiss Thor because I can't imagine me marrying him, but I would definitely kiss him. I would marry Captain America because he would look after you and he would be faithful and he would just be also charming and also wonderful all the time, and it would be lovely. And kill, who am I going to kill? Can I choose to kill one of the Avengers? So I would choose to kill Loki, and the reason for that is I'll know he's not officially really an Avenger. He is kind of, but not really ever officially in a suit. But I love Tom I can't say his name. I love Tom Hiddleston, but he always comes back to life. So Loki is really tricksy. So that's the reason why I chose to kill him, because whenever he's killed in the films, he's never really dead. He always comes back, except in the very last Endgame. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but it is, that's my reason for that. So I would kiss Thor for a very long time, and I'll probably think about that for most of the day today. And I would marry Captain America and I would kill Loki. Question 4. What would be your perfect day? I want you to run me through it from breakfast till bedtime.
My perfect day. So, my perfect day would start, I would wake up and it would be sun streaming into the bedroom. So in our bedroom we have lots of light and I only have sheer curtains up because I love being woken up by the sunshine. And my mood for the day is always set by whether it's sunny or whether it's cloudy outside, or if it's raining or whatever else. It takes a while to get me out of a slump if I wake up and the weather's bad. But when the sun's shining, it's like you bounce out of bed and you just feel happy from the very start. So woken up by warm sunshine, and then my husband would make me a lovely breakfast of Greek yogurt and fresh fruits and maybe some warm croissants and hot espresso coffee, and we'd sit outside on our terrace out the back, and we just enjoy that in the sunshine. We get morning sun at the back of the house, so we would just sit there. When I say terrace, we have a tiny little terrace out the back of our house. It's very small outdoor space in our cottage, so it's not a grand terrace, it's just a little bit of space to sit and enjoy the weather. So we'd sit there, maybe he may have bought me a couple of fashion magazines to flick through whilst I'm eating my breakfast, and we would just sit and eat and chat. And then we would get dressed and we would maybe go to Bath or Bristol, and we would go to a museum or an art gallery. and just go and have a little wander around. And just enjoy the weather and the architecture and just, you know, each other's company. And then we would go and find a country pub and maybe have a little walk to get there, walk along the canal or the river. To get to a lovely country pub. It would be a gastro pub, the kind of fine dining pub, and we would have a lovely tasting menu, maybe with a wine flight. And then after we've eaten, we would go home. Very selfishly, up until this point, it's just been me and my hubby. So what we would do at that point is spend some time with the kids, and I would love to just play a board game with them. We have so much fun with them playing board games. They're at that great age where they're proper people, like 12 and 14, and they've got opinions, and they're really clever. So any kind of trivia based game or funny game is always great fun. So we would play a board game together. I think then what we'd do is we'd light a fire. I know it's been sunny up until this point, but it's my dream day, so I get to change the weather. So we would light a fire and we would cuddle up and we would watch an old movie, an old romantic black and white movie. And we might have some cheese, a cheese board, and just kind of graze and watch a movie. And then to finish off the day, we would perk up, we'd put on some tunes, my husband would get his vinyl records out and we'd play some music and we'd have some drinks and our friends would come over. Nikki, obviously you would need to come, and we would drink and we would dance and we would have fun until the early hours of the morning, and finally fall asleep. So that would be my perfect day, ticking all the boxes, a little bit of culture, lots of food, friends, family, and some romantic times as well. So that would be my perfect day. My next question for you, Nikki, is that if you could be an apprentice to anyone or for any job, past or present, what would it be?
So, who would I like to apprentice for? Well, I think with this kind of question, I've had a good long think about it, and it was artists that sprung to mind. So, you know, I love my art, and I'm not any good at it, but I'm an art lover, and I think it would be something that I could really indulge in with this question. So, one of my favourite artists is Claude Monet, and I would be his apprentice. So maybe he could teach me how to paint, and I just think it would be fascinating watching him work and seeing him in his environment and seeing how he used colour. And I just love all of his paintings, and I love the time period that he was in as well, that sort of late 1800s, early 1900s. So I think it would just be fascinating to follow him around and be his apprentice and learn from a great master. And question 5, what is the first thing that you will do when all of this is over?
So what's the first thing that I would do when this is all over? Well, the two things I've been missing most is spending time outdoors and friends and family. So the first thing that I would love to do is to have a huge picnic. I would love family and friends to meet me somewhere pretty and all bring a picnic and games and basically spend the whole day. Obviously it would need to be good weather, but spend the whole day outside just enjoying each other's company, laughing and joking and drinking and eating and playing games and just having a brilliant day, and stay out all day. And in an ideal world, when the sun goes down, we'll light a fire and we'll all just stay out well into the evening. Kids will be playing with their friends and everyone will be happy and laughing and having a whale of a time. And that sounds pretty perfect to me right now. My final question for you, Nikki, and the one that's probably most important at the moment, is what is the first thing that you are going to do when all of this is over and we're back to normal?
So the last question, what are we going to do, or what am I going to do when all of this is over? It's quite hard. The kids and I have started a little jar of things that we want to do when all of this is over, and the idea is that every weekend or every day that we have, we're going to take something out of the jar and we're going to do it no matter what it is. So far it's things like go to the V&A, go to the beach, have a massive sleepover with all of their boys' friends and things like that. So we are planning things for once this is over. The things that I'm missing the most are just the simple things in life. I'm missing being somewhere that's busy, and not even like somewhere like Piccadilly Circus or something like that, Oxford Street. I'm just missing going into my local town and seeing more than 5 people around. I just think having that sort of buzz of people around you, hearing people having conversations, it's those things that I've really missed. And I'm trying to get that as much as possible with, you know, obviously we're with family and we're doing video calls and we're doing various different things, but it's not quite the same as kind of having it all around you as this kind of noise which is just happening in the background. I'm missing just going for a coffee with Rachel. I'm missing going to the charity shops. I'm missing going to the pub and having a drink. I'm just missing all the things. So the first thing I will probably do is I would want to go and see my family, but I doubt that that's going to be something that I'm going to be able to do for a long time, even if lockdown restrictions are lifted, because they are in Scotland, so they are 400 miles away. But my closest family is obviously Rachel, so we will be spending a lot of time together, and I will be running across the road and giving her lots of hugs, and her and the kids and Damien, and I've just missed physical contact and having lots of people around and things like that. So that will be the first thing I will do. Is we will probably end up in the pub for a pint, and I'm just missing the really simple things of life like that. It's not anything fancy, it's not Michelin restaurants or anything like that. Although a lot of things my family are missing is food related, which is odd. You know, I didn't realise we were such, we ate out so often. Now that we're not doing it at all, it does seem like we miss that. It's something that we used to do together as a family. But we will get through this, and we will, I think, come out differently on the other side. I hope we'll come out as a gentler and kinder society, as a society that appreciates everyone in our society more and looks after everyone in our society. So that is something that I've taken from this current crisis and I think we should try and keep hold of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you lots of hugs, young lady, and we're going to go for drinks.
So there you have it. That's my 5 questions and Nikki's 5 questions. I've loved hearing her answers.
That was really fun. I hope you enjoyed it.
We really hope that you guys are all staying safe.
We hope you're all safe and well at home.
That you're staying sane, that your hobbies, crafting, sewing, or whatever else you're doing is keeping you from climbing the walls.
Make sure that you check everything that's available on our website, because all of our classes have been reduced in cost at the moment, and we've also put lots of free ones up there, so you can learn to sew or you can do some basic projects to keep you busy.
We have got some other ideas of content that we can bring you over the coming weeks whilst we're all stuck inside. We're going to try some long distance pattern reviews, which will be really fun because we won't see the big reveal until we see the photos come through.
We've also got loads of stuff on the blog, which is also on the website, and of course you've got all the videos here on YouTube to keep you busy.
For those of you that are still having to work really hard but also juggle family and juggle all these new responsibilities of homeschool, we hope that you hang in there, and we hope that these videos can just bring you a little bit of respite.
So stay home, stay safe,
Take care everybody, and
we'll see you soon. Bye!
Bye!